Lesson 9.2, solving equations by completing the square. Let's look at explain number 1. Completing the square is a process of rewriting a quadratic expression as a perfect square trinomial so that it can be solved by taking square roots. To complete the square for an expression x squared plus bx plus c, we will need to add a value of half of the b squared in order to make it a perfect square trinomial. We can also factor this perfect square trinomial, and the factor will be x plus half of the b, and all that quantity squared will be the factor for that new trinomial. So if we have the problem x squared plus 4x, in order to complete the square, find your b value. In this problem, b is 4. Once you find your b value, use the formula half of the b squared in order to know what value you will add in order to make it a perfect square trinomial. So half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. That is the value you will add to make this a perfect square. We can now factor it in the form x plus half of the b, all of that quantity squared. So the factor form of this trinomial is going to be x plus 2 quantity squared, because half of b is 2. X plus 2 quantity squared is the factored form of this problem. Let's look at example B. Here we have x squared minus 8x. Our b value is negative 8. Use the formula half of the b squared in order to complete the square. Half of negative 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is a positive 16. We add that value to make it a perfect square trinomial. This perfect square trinomial is now factorable as x minus 4 quantity squared. You could have written that factors as x minus 4 times x minus 4, but because the factors are the same, we can just make it one parenthesis squared. So let's look at question 3. When b is negative, why is the result added to the expression still positive? Well, in our example b, the b was negative. Notice when you take half of that, it's still negative. But once you square a negative, it becomes positive. So when a b is negative, the reason that you add a positive is because squaring a negative equals a positive. Example number 4. Complete the square for x squared plus 12x. First, find your b value. Take half of the b and square it to know what to add to make it a perfect square. Half of 12 is 6, and 6 squared is 36. So we will add 36 to make this a perfect square trinomial. This perfect square trinomial is now factorable x plus 6 quantity squared.